G'day there guys, big fan of breeding, eating, and just being alive in general. Welcome back to another episode of r/AmiTheA. It's your host Markee. I hope you enjoy this content today. Tell me what you think about it down in the comments, smash a like on this video, and enjoy the show. Thank you. Posted by user Caitlin KitKat. Titled, Am I the a-hole for telling parents to leave me alone and let me raise my own damn kid? I just had my kid a week and 1 day ago. She was born via emergency C-section. Recovery has been horrible. I have also developed PPD. I love my baby regardless, but obviously the first few months are going to be very hard for me. But ever since I came back from the hospital, my parents have been up my ass about telling me how to raise my child. I take some of their advice, but a lot of it just annoys me. For starters, I asked both nurses and doctors almost every question I could think of about my baby, every day before I left with her back home. I wanted to be prepared, and double-check so I wouldn't risk any accidental harm. I have done everything doctors have told me to do as far as care. She even went to her first doctor's appointment not too long ago, and her physician said that I was doing an amazing job. Most newborns lose weight before they gain it back, but my baby is not only in great condition, but gaining weight. But apparently this isn't enough for them. They cannot stop giving me unwanted advice, and every time I tell them, that's not what the nurse and doctor said, they give me the whole, I raised kids. These doctors don't know what they're talking about. Keep in mind, my grandmother is in her 70s, and my dad is in his late 40s. When they were raising kids, a lot of their advice is old school and flawed. Today, I just had enough. I'm trying to feed my baby, which is difficult, because at the same time I'm trying to feed myself because I haven't eaten all day. I get bombarded with calls and texts from my family telling me more unasked, unwanted advice. They told me, swaddle your baby with her legs straight. Meanwhile, my doctor told me that loosens the baby's hip muscles and isn't good for them, and told me the proper way to swaddle. Nope, they weren't having that, and proceeded to lecture me about how, once again, doctors don't know anything and treat black people's children differently from white people's children. Keep in mind, my child is considered white due to my fair complexion. I am still considered black, and my husband being white. Obviously, race shouldn't matter in this topic, but apparently it does to them. They would bring it into everything. I got annoyed and just told them to back off and let me raise my own damn child. I'm tired of being told one thing and then another thing from them. They are confusing me and my husband. From cold milk being dangerous, I've been told that there is zero proof that cold milk affects babies, aside from a little shock value in some, because they expect warm milk. From swaddling, to how to hold my baby because they think baby skulls don't exist even on the sides, and it's nothing but brain. Obviously that's not true, and other stuff, etc. Of course they are mad, and are calling me stupid for not questioning my doctor's advice, and undermining them because they've raised children and I haven't. I'm mentally exhausted. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents to leave me alone and let me raise my own damn kid? No, and I'm surprised you're letting the opinions of idiots continue to affect you like this, and you haven't just blocked them for a bit to leave you alone. If I was you, I'd continue to just ignore them, and I'm gonna call you not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Parenting techniques have changed a lot over the years, and what's recommended and done now is different from what was done decades ago. One of my best friends actually had a bit of a row that was later solved because the mum kept pushing her to do things how she'd done them, or because the mum questioned why she did things differently. Your child, your decision. Your parents don't know more than doctors or nurses, that's just a fact, unless they are doctors or nurses themselves. I love how the parents use the argument that because they raised kids, they know how to raise a child, and that OP should ignore the doctors. They act as if none of those doctors or nurses could possibly be a parent that has raised a child. Plus, every idiot with a working reproductive system could produce a child. Doesn't make them a proper parent or skilled at raising kids. Not the a-hole. Mama, block them all for a few days and concentrate on you and your baby. OP, this. I can't stress enough that having someone question your ability to raise your own child is not someone you need in your life right now. Trust your gut, trust your medical providers, and ignore the ridiculous offers your parents are pushing. Not the a-hole. It's pretty standard for parents to give unwanted advice, but they are going pretty far with it. Side note, while cold milk isn't harmful, it can give some indigestion and can lead to more spit-ups. However, I believe that is kid dependent. Mine would spit up instantly if her formula wasn't warm enough. Yet, this is also what I was told. It varies from different children. Mine luckily accepts cold milk, instantly with no issues thankfully, because I don't have a bottle warmer. She spits up due to eating too quickly, warm or cold milk. She drinks strictly breast milk. I don't know if that actually helps with digestion due to it being cold or not, because that's a question I actually haven't asked the doctor yet. And you're going to know your child better than anyone. Your family may be overcompensating right now and may back off in time. I wouldn't write off their advice completely. They may have a trick or two that will help with various issues that arise over the years, but you absolutely have the right to do what you want. Within reason, of course. It appears like OP needs to establish boundaries first before taking in advice from the parents. She seems to be doing her best, and from personal experience with PPD, gaining confidence in parenting and growing the bond with her daughter, along with those boundaries, could help with the PPD and then maybe reopen things regarding advice. Update. So in regards to my old post, I first want to say thank you for all the support. I tried ignoring my family, but it didn't work out too well due to how frequent I've had to see them. They were very argumentative whenever I came over, saying things like, I must not love them due to me not answering the phone. So honestly, not much of that advice worked. I had a tooth extraction not too long ago. That required me to have my family take care of my baby for 3 days. I left them a list of instructions. While I was there, they immediately didn't listen to anything I said, but that changed very quickly. When I told them, only feed her 2 ounces because otherwise you'll overfeed her and she'll throw up everywhere, they basically disregarded it. They overfed her, and the reason being, she's still eating. So obviously I told them, babies don't know when to stop eating from the bottle. But nope, they proceeded to say, oh no, you're just not feeding her enough. So I just waited for the inevitable. It only took 5 minutes for my baby to puke all on them, and honestly, it made me smile. And I blurted out, what was that? Me knowing what I'm talking about? Guess you'll be feeding her 2 ounces. And slammed the instructions that I wrote back in front of them. Kissed my baby goodbye and left for those few days. I came back 3 days later after recovering. My family looked absolutely exhausted, and that just made me smile more. They admitted to literally every single thing I've been telling them for the past 3 weeks. She really doesn't stop crying after warm milk. I guess it's not because you feed her cold milk. Wow, you must not be getting enough sleep. She had us up for so long. They love calling my phone because they think I have time to have a conversation, and so much more crap they accused me of doing wrong with her. Now I believe they'll shut up about how doctors don't know any better, because then I told them. My instructions they finally decided to follow weren't that of doctors, which they admitted beforehand, and that helped calm her down. Of course, I didn't get an apology. They are too proud to ever say, I'm sorry. In fact, they stated that after they followed my instructions, they were better than me than handling my own kid, which rubbed me the wrong way. Which means I'll be ignoring their calls and texts even more. But at least they'll think it's because I'm actually busy with my baby. So I think I'm finally free of their unwanted advice. And all it took was a newborn to put them in their place. Edit: As many women have backed up in one comment in particular, pregnancy does a horrible number on teeth. This was not your typical normal everyday extraction. If it was, I wouldn't have needed the 3 days off to recover. It gets very tiresome repeating the same thing over and over again. I'm happy for you, and for them that they learned their lesson, although it sucks that they don't see the need to apologize to you after being rude. But you win some, you lose some. All the best with your baby. Poor kid. What kind of tooth extraction requires leaving a newborn with people who won't follow instructions for 3 days? When you have multiple pulled at the same time, pregnancy really screwed up my teeth, and the dentist refused to see me for anything because of my pregnancy. And while dealing with PPD, along with the pain due to the extractions, I wasn't mentally capable of dealing with my baby, unfortunately, and they were the only ones available to care for her. They did a good job considering. I've heard some people's teeth get really screwed up during and after having a baby. That's rough, and I'm sorry it happened to you. I'm assuming by cold milk you mean room temperature formula. Either formula or breast milk. She's normally on breast milk, but family used formula due to me not being there. They constantly told me colic, which she has, exists, because I gave her cold milk, which isn't true. She takes it very well, and most of the times falls asleep right after. They constantly said that room temp would settle that instantly. It did not. Posted by user Administration IC616, titled, Am I the a-hole for asking my ex-wife to transplant the tree she planted on our property? My soon-to-be ex-wife, 32 female, and I, 39 male, were married for 10 years before we got separated. We have 2 homes, a main home close to New York City and a lake house upstate. We agreed she would continue living in our main home and I would move to the lake house. 7 years ago, my wife's grandmother passed away. She planted a tree at our lake house in her honor. Since this was a vacation home that I'm now turning into a permanent residence, I'm going to be doing renovations, and there is no way around the tree needing to be removed. I am willing to pay for all expenses to transplant the tree and the aftercare to ensure that the tree survives the process. I am willing to wait until the right time to do this. However, I heard late fall is the best time, so we do need to start planning it now. My ex-wife does not want to transplant the tree at all. She wants to be able to come over and keep visiting, as it's a nice spot. There's a bench next to it, and it's next to the lake, and she would spend a lot of time out there. My girlfriend does not feel comfortable with my ex-wife coming to my house whenever she wants. My ex-wife says everyone she talked to about transplanting the tree says there is a risk of the tree not surviving, and she is not willing to take that chance, even though I'm willing to do whatever is needed to make sure the risk is as small as possible. However, I really don't know much about transplanting trees. I've never had to do this before. Am I the a-hole for asking her to transplant the tree? I personally don't think so. I think you've come up with a reasonable compromise, and I can understand why she is unwilling to not go through this entire process and risk losing the tree. It holds significant sentimental value to her, although I can see if the tree continues to exist in the place it's in, it's going to cause unnecessary and unwanted conflict. This is a hard one, but purely for asking her to transplant the tree, I think not the a-hole. You've given her plenty of time and plenty of options to come up with a reasonable solution. And so far it doesn't look like she has suggested anything else besides keep the tree there. So yeah, not the a-hole. Tell her straight up that the tree is in the way and will be getting moved regardless. Her only 2 choices are 1, you have the tree professionally moved to a property that she owns, or 2, they raise the tree when the renovations happen. Tell her she has until X date to tell you if she wants it moved. If she doesn't make arrangements to do so by that date, then the renovations will proceed however they need to. I came here to say this. Give an ultimatum, like, I'm getting rid of the tree. We can either move it to your garden or move it into a wood chipper. Your choice. Not the a-hole at all, but you need to put your foot down. Yeah, I agree. OP is being very awesome about this. Ultimatum is the way to go. Info. Will the tree need to be moved no matter what? It sounds like it's standing in the way of your renovations. Is that right? If it has to be transplanted no matter what, it might as well go to her property, I assume. You are being plenty generous already, and I don't think it's unreasonable not to want your ex-wife visiting and hanging around your property anytime she wants. And OP replies, yes, it will need to be removed. I have a large family and they stay at my house often, so I'm going to need to put an extension on the guest house. Just popping in, she can always take clippings and propagate them too, just in case the main tree dies, there will be other little ones from the same one. Beautiful cycle. This is a cool idea. I'll tell her about it. And if for some reason it does die, a woodworker could make a piece of furniture from the old tree. You would have to find someone to kill the logs into boards, not in the wheelhouse of most woodworkers, but then there is a lot of possibilities for a piece of furniture, or even some nice big wooden bowls or a cutting board. Update. I spoke to my ex-wife again and told her that this time of the year was the best time to move a tree and give it the highest chance of surviving, and that construction was going to start anyway, and even if we didn't move the tree until the last possible moment, there was still a good chance it could get damaged just from the work being done around it. She confessed to me that one of the reasons she did not want the tree to get moved was because she wasn't sure if she was going to keep the house or sell it because of the memories. She was unwilling to come up with another plan, so I had the tree transplanted to her mother's house, which isn't far from hers. Her mother talked to a landscaper, and I put up a bench and some bushes around it. It's a nice spot. My ex-wife isn't happy, but the tree seems to be. Thank you to everyone for your advice. Sir Harry Flashman says, well done for preserving and protecting the tree. Thank you. I never thought I would ever be so invested in the well-being of a tree. When I die, I want a green funeral. Basically, they put you in a cardboard bag and plant a tree over you. I've heard about that. It sounds really cool. You should read a book called The American Way of Death. It's old, but has been updated, and as a result, I have changed my will to reflect what I learned reading it. That's a great update. You really went out of your way, and the bench and bushes are a lovely touch. I wouldn't be surprised if she's not happy because, regardless of what you wanted and had agreed, re-splitting the properties, she still intended to come visit the tree quite regularly, aka spend time at what is now your property. But she can't have it both ways. You outplayed her, have got a clean break now, and have acted with kindness and dignity, even when she was being awkward. Bravo. Agreed. It seems like part of the reason she wants the tree to stay there was so she could continue to visit, and then eventually petition OP to allow her to stay there because she's already in the area to see the tree. I agree. It really seems like she just wanted a free vacation home. I bet she would have demanded OP allow her to stay at this place because it's such a far drive. That way she could go to the lake house whenever she wanted and always have an excuse. This was actually a really lovely thing to do. Not sure why your ex is unhappy. I'd be glad that my ex was able to show some empathy and move the tree rather than cut it down. Thank you. I'm sure she'll come around. I'm not sure she will, but that has nothing to do with your generosity. She is likely making so many excuses because she wanted a reason to have unlimited access to continue using your home as a vacation home. She may always be bitter that you took her excuses for that away from her. That doesn't at all reflect on you, though. Posted by user LetMeFall45. Titled, Am I the a-hole for not letting my mum see my kids? When I was 18, a week before graduating, my mum and stepdad went out and got too drunk to drive home. They called me and it was 2 a.m. in the pouring rain. I pull up directions to my home on my phone to be fast. My stepdad was giving me directions too, but my phone showed me he was taking us in circles. I told him this. He got mad at me and was screaming at me to follow his directions. He grabbed the wheel and jerked us to the side of the road. I lost it. I told him not to come to my graduation. He responded with, "Nobody cares that you're graduating," and kicked me out when we finally got home and went inside. My mum was in the back seat, and I asked her, me or him. She told me to leave. I did and never came back. I am married now with 2 kids and recently started therapy. My mom asks me what I talk about in therapy, and I always just say I want to keep it to myself. I finally caved and told her that week in therapy I talked about the above time, how it hurt me because I felt she chose him. She admitted she doesn't remember how the night went down at all because she had been drinking, but she demanded she wouldn't say something like that, so she didn't say it. I got upset and said she wasn't validating my emotions, and that's why I like therapy, because it's helping me work through everything. She told me I was a manipulator, and that my therapy will never truly help me because I'm a liar. I told her to shut up and I hung up the phone, and blocked her so I cannot receive her calls and texts. A bit far, but I need a break from her. I am working on boundary setting and wanted to take some time to think. This was 3 weeks ago. She texted my husband Thursday night asking if she can take the kids on Saturday to her house and the park. My husband said he would talk to me about it. We decided now was not a good time because I don't want her around the kids or me right now. We felt it was a way to try to get back to me because in the 2 years since my son was born, she has only taken him twice, one of which was when I was having the new baby. My husband texted her Friday night and said, "No, tomorrow isn't a good time." She texted back immediately asking when a good time would be. Husband said, "We will let you know, that is it. Nothing else." We thought this was respectful enough, especially because my youngest has special needs, so our schedule is crazy. My mum called my grandma and said I wasn't letting her see the kids. She said she's done with me, my kids, and my husband. She then told my sister at their home to text me and tell me that we are no longer allowed to see each other and that my sister can't see the kids either. She told her I chose this. There's a bunch more stories that make me think my mum is the a-hole, but my whole life she told me I was dramatic, manipulative, etc. Though I really feel like I did the right thing at first, I'm starting to feel like she may be right. Am I the a-hole for not letting her see the kids? It's been about 2 months since she had seen them. This woman sounds like an absolute piece of work. I'm surprised your relationship with her and with your kids has lasted as long as it has. She doesn't seem like a pleasant person to be around, and it's obvious she doesn't actually care about looking after the kids or seeing them. She's currently playing some weird, wacky, and wonderful games, and I wouldn't want to be playing along with her. So, no, you're not the a-hole for not letting her see the kids. I would do the same. Not the a-hole. Top Jukes NA says, "Not the a-hole. If I was in your shoes, she wouldn't ever be around my children. She doesn't seem to care about your feelings. She is also more than willing to use people closest to you to manipulate you into giving her what she wants." Thank you. I have thought about cutting her off completely before, but was legitimately afraid I would end up without a phone, a car, or a home, probably because instances like above where it happened before. Though I am an adult and take care of all of my own things now, I am still afraid she will take everything away from me somehow. Once again, I sometimes am convinced this is me being manipulative and dramatic. Dan Savage likes to point out that all the power in the relationship between an adult child and a parent is with the adult child, because the parent no longer has a hold over the child's survival. I want to remind you of this because it's easy to forget. When you're a helpless kid and the person who makes your world turn yanks things away all the time, or threatens to, it annihilates your sense of permanence and safety, which is why they do it, incidentally. They want you doubting and malleable. I struggled with this for a long time too, especially as a struggling grad during the recession. I still did need their goodwill to get by, and I had to keep playing the game longer because of it. But not now. Now I'm free, and so are you. If your mums have a fit, we don't lose our jobs. We'll still have our homes. Our partners won't walk out on us. The only thing that happens when mum throws a fit now is that mum throws a fit, maybe ruins her own day. We're safe. Not the a-hole, and I think some space from her would be good for you and your whole family. Go forth in peace and look after your mental health. Not the a-hole, stay in therapy. Love your children and husband. Live your life. I'm sorry that your mother behaves badly. Thank you, I will. All of these comments are making me emotional. Thank you so many times. She is being manipulative, not you. Talk to your sister about it. You'll be better off without your mum. Not the a-hole. Your mother continuously mistreats you, and there is no need for you to subject yourself or your children to that. She's using your sister to manipulate you. If your sister chooses to cut you and your children out of her life, that's because your mother demands it. That is squarely on their shoulders, not yours. Thank you. This is one of my biggest fears. My sister is 15 and most definitely wants to remain in my life, but is unable to drive or is controlled by my mother still. I want nothing more than to take her out of the home because it's awful there. But I am not well off financially, and my husband has a record from when he was young, 19 to 22, and homeless/train hopping. I don't think I would be granted custody, and the rest of my family is just as crazy. Update. Sorry if this is bad. I'm on mobile, and my kids are climbing all over me. So I've been no contact for 5 months or so with my mum and stepdad. Sometimes I feel guilty for not letting them see my kids. I don't feel bad for myself or for my children, but I feel bad for them not being able to have my kids in their life. What squashes me is that I've talked to my mum twice for the total of about 20 minutes, and both times I tried to explain I understand her feelings of wanting to see my kids, but by continuing to ask other people to contact me to see them is a breach of my trust and boundaries, and doesn't show me the needed respect I am demanding. I tried to tell her that I somehow needed to know that she's actually changing and becoming a better person before I'm comfortable with her being around me or my children. But the second I even say anything close to that, she attacks me and tells me I'm crazy for needing to know her personal business and tells me I'm hurting my children by not allowing her in their lives. I honestly do not feel this way, and I feel like I'm protecting my children from her lash-outs and harsh words when they are older, and no longer cute and cuddly. She legitimately told me that she would rather not talk to my kids at all ever again than try to right any of her wrongs. Fine. Her choice, not mine, right? Thank you everyone for your support and kind words. I am planning to continue no contact, and even blocked her on my husband's phone, so she can't reach out to us at all. I have joined narcissistic parents on here, CPTSD, and just no mother-in-law, and find a lot of relatable stories, and feel like there are people who understand me. I also still am in therapy weekly, and am improving my symptoms and doing well with getting my mother's belittling comments out of my head. I owe Reddit so much to aiding in this because of the nice people who gave me the strength and encouragement to keep going with putting myself first mentality I wanted to start those months ago. Alright, that's where I think I'm going to end today's episode, guys. As always, I really do hope you learned something or just really enjoyed the posts that were put up today. Quick shout out to all my new and existing Patreon and channel members. You should be able to see your name on screen right now, and if you don't, then I don't think you're part of the club, and you really should join the club because it's a great club. And I want to thank every single one of you guys for supporting me in this journey. It really means so much to me, and I love you all so much for it. Thank you for helping me out. As you can tell, I'm now happy and healthy back in Australia. Thank God it's not cold like Ireland. I don't like wearing jumpers everywhere. I prefer the heat. Thank you very much. I know that's an unpopular opinion. Anyway, guys, I really do hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you later. Bye.